Welcome, welcome everyone. Greg Essenmacher, but you know me. You don't need me to introduce myself. I'm super excited to introduce Lana Rivera. So if you don't know Lana, you're going to. Lana
Hi,
Rivera is a dental
guys.
consultant, with 20 years of experience, specializing in helping practices grow through strategic business solutions. She's worked with dental startups, pediatric practices, and established clinics focusing on optimizing operations and increasing patient satisfaction. Lana is known for her expertise in the latest industry trends. We're going to get into those, and her ability to guide teams forward financially and operational success. Her hands on collaborative approach has made her a trusted advisor in the dental field. With a passion for innovation, Lana continues to drive positive change for dental professions. Welcome to the show, Lana.
Thank you, Greg. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. We love having guests on the Two Sleuth like yourself who, as a consultant, right, we bring a fresh and new perspective. I want to start by asking you your origin story. So, how did you end up in this fantastic collaborative industry that we call dental?
Oh, many, many moons ago in a different lifetime, I actually started in a dental lab. So a little bit on the backside of
A
things,
lab.
right?
You came
I,
out of the lab to the front. I love it. Tell me,
I
tell me,
sure
tell me.
did. Yeah, so I actually started as an assistant manager of quality control at a dental lab that specialized in fixed prosthetics. Uh,
You didn't just talk about fixed prosthetics on the Two Sleuth podcast to
I
G&A
sure did.
consult people who
I
talk
sure
about fixed
did.
all day. I love it.
Yep, and from there I worked for a decent period of time and went into an oral surgery, which I absolutely loved and enjoyed every aspect of it. Basic oral surgery, extraction, simple implants, and then furthered on my career into general dentistry that specialized with developmentally disabled adults. So continue to climb, continue to explore different specialties, and eventually ended up deciding to go on my own as a dental consultant. Short story.
Love it. That's the good Lord's work right there, right? Because those that are differently abled still need dental care. And sometimes I don't know that we forget about it, but sometimes it's not really thought of in forefront of mind. As a dental consultant, I don't know about you, but we work with clinics all the time, especially in full arch, and we're looking at the numbers and the patient experience and conversions and the metrics. But there's a whole swath of the dental field of giving better oral care to mankind, humankind, all of the Americans in general, and knowing that I don't know what the exact number is. Is it 50% or 40% of Americans that don't go to see the dentist on a regular basis, which just breaks my heart to hear that. So thank you for doing that work for the period of time that you did. I think that's amazing. So tell me a little bit about, some of the conferences and some of the speaking engagements that you did. We were talking pre-show, and we've been in a lot of the same places at the same time this year, and we were laughing because it's like, well, I think I may have seen you, but I don't know that we know you. And so tell me about how we actually know each other and how you got referred over to the Two Sleuth podcast, our mutual friend.
Yeah, so I feel like after we spoke before the show, we feel like two ships, right, passing in the middle of the night here. Like we know we're there, but we're just passing on by. So we actually were referred by our dear friend Dr. Len Tao, Bird Eye, and so that's how we got introduced and able to meet face to face, which has been an awesome opportunity. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, he's a great guy and a good connector in the industry. I just love Len. I love the work that he does as well, and he's a great connector in the industry. And so, tell me a little bit about what you speak on. What have you done speaking engagements on this year? Because I know that you're helping practices to elevate their production, and I don't want to assume what you do speak on, but I'm guessing it's the full breadth of production in a practice, general dentistry side, all kinds, because we're super niche at G&A Consult, as you know, right? It's the fixed full arch game. That's what we focus on. So tell the listening audience and tell all of us, what is it that you speak on and what do you specialize in for practices?
So one of the really interesting things that I was requested on this year to speak about specifically is how to dissolve confrontation within the office. A lot of times there's a lot of friction. We work very closely together between teams, between different departments, doctors versus employees, so to speak. So that was something that I tackled this year, which was exciting. I think that it was very well received, a topic of discussion in order to clear out any sort of issues that can get in the way when it comes to productive teams. That was great. That was exciting. We talk a lot about comprehensive billing and coding when it comes to matching the procedures that our doctors are doing, which, as you know, Greg, can definitely be something that teams aren't familiar with. How do we code? How do we build this accurately according to what our doctor is performing?
Yeah, so in the billing and coding side is relatively new to me, so I'd love to be able to explore that more. So for my listening audience, because a lot of them are more focused on the full arch space and think fee for service, it's not really insurance based. So are you talking insurance based, or are you talking just in general codes to be able to put into a practice management system to make sure that you have the right numbers? Because we're big on like explosion codes, and you plug something in for an upper arch zirconia, and suddenly all the codes pop in, right? To make it super simple for those that are treatment coordinators really focused more on the sales aspect. So talk to us a little bit more about that on the billing and coding you're referencing.
Yeah, so definitely it's across the board. So obviously for insurance, that's something that's super important. But because there is no set education when it comes to administrative, when it comes to understanding the codes that are supposed to accompany specific procedures, I am a big heavy hitter when it comes to educating team members on what those codes are, what they look like, the services that are going to accompany with what the doctor is performing, and why it's important. Explosion codes are amazing. I love it. It takes the thinking out of it so that you can focus on the patient education aspect, but they still have to have that fundamental understanding of what those codes are and what they represent.
And tell me a little bit about the teaching that you do. So with the team members, because education is big for us as well, and we do it in a couple of different ways. We'll do the virtual training online where we record it. It's customized to our clients on a weekly basis, and let them keep that customized LMS platform that they create, if you will, and then also back that up with in-office monthly engagements to reinforce with our training manager, with our treatment coordinators, those types of things. So talk to me about the level of engagement that you do so that folks that are listening that think, man, I could really use that, they can understand a little bit better of how you engage and how you go about doing that teaching and training so they can identify it a little bit better.
Yeah, of course. So one of the things when I'm beginning to work with clients on the consulting level is I like to pull reports by procedure code, like to see exactly what they're performing so that I can go into a proper analysis of what they need some assistance on. From there, when we meet with the team, typically the first month we have a team meeting, I like to dive in deep. I'm always in person and I like to sit in a circle and let everybody know that I'm here to be part of the team and not to work against the team. So I've got a better understanding of each individual's knowledge and experience. And so from there, based on the individual staff members, I tailor the experience and the education to what their specific needs is, right? It's not going to be a one size fits all for everybody. So I try very hard to customize it.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's a strategy that you use to help the staff get over maybe some of the initial hesitation of working with the consultant. So, could you tell us a little bit more about maybe an experience that you had where that was a successful strategy you used?
Yes, I had a team that spoke quite a few different languages. I did not speak any of them, only English, and they were all very hesitant. It was something that was very new. They felt a little bit intimidated by the entire experience. And so, like I said, one of my trademark things, if you will, is my very first day there. I brought refreshments. I brought food. I brought coffee. We sat down in a circle, and I wanted to know a short story of why each individual person, what brought them into dentistry, what their background was, what do they love about it. When it came to the language barrier, that was something that intimidated several of the employees quite a bit, but I had it translated back to me, and it became such a I want to say a bonding experience, if you will, because as we're sitting here looking, we in dentistry in the office we teach toe to toe, knee to knee, eye to eye. It's the same exact approach for myself when I'm dealing with team members in that way, and so after a full day of working together, a couple of hours in the morning getting to know each of the team members, we took off running. And it was a really exciting experience to be able to get over that hurdle.
Yeah, and what a way to identify, as you'd shared, for somebody who does speak literally a different language. And, we talk about that there are really seven different languages spoken, right? Seven different personality styles. And to be able to speak to each of them, uncover, discover, and engage with those different personality styles, you're talking about something completely different, right? It's literally speaking a different language and having somebody interpret, and so critically important to be able to be inclusive of those individuals so that everybody's speaking the same language and getting the same information so that you can be able to work with them and be able to help identify. And so it sounds like you've told a little bit about, but so how do you create those strategies that really target those pain points when you're first starting to come on board, or even before that, like when you're doing discovery calls with potential clients before they even bring you on board to be able to help with their growth and production?
I feel like the process is a bit of a therapy session, right? From the doctor's perspective, I want to know what originally brought them to dentistry. What did they originally enjoy? What are the pain points that they've hit along the way? And then be able to see them in their own office environment, I feel like is such a key process to seeing how they look, how they feel, what their body language is, and in turn, what the staff is, right? Receptive to them. And then I go through the exact same process, like I said in the beginning, with the team members. What brought them to the table? What do they enjoy about it? And then we briefly hit on the things that they are struggling with. What that does is it brings unity, right? We understand why everybody is here in the office and what brought us here unified. Then, by identifying some struggles that each individual is having, of course, that discovery call with the doctor, we've got a bit more information. But what that does is it opens up the lines of communication that they may not have had before. So when the lines of communication are open between the practice owner, between the staff members, then we can begin to dive deep into creating these solutions for them.
Yeah, communication absolutely critical, especially as what I would say is an outsider, right? Coming into a practice and, having the doctor or the founder, the owner, whoever it is that brings you in, making sure that that communication is just rock solid from the very beginning so that you can get the work done that you've been brought in to do, which is so critically important. Yeah, so I'm wondering because again, like exploring this is relatively new to me and finding the lane and learning from it. What are some of the tools that you find most optimal or most effective for you to be able to do the work that you do in the lane, whether it's in the billing and coding, or I think you do some work in revenue cycle management? What are some of those tools that you're finding because they're changing all the time, right? What are some of those tools that you're finding in the tech stack that are most productive for yourself?
Definitely certain partners I like to work with when it comes to diving into the software, given that all the softwares they have similarities, but they reflect things differently. That's been something that's been key. Using definitely AI has also helped when it comes to educating the practice owners, when it comes to the admin team specifically on uh, the hiccups, the cracks in the ground, if you will, and exposing those so that we can go ahead and create solutions from them. That would definitely be where I start.
Yeah, and so in what lane as far as the tech stack? So are you using like certain revenue cycle management tools, or tell me a little bit more about those?
Revenue cycle tools. Uh, First of all, well, I'm not quite sure if this is what you're asking, but I like to look at what their cash flow is. What is their cash flow per provider? That's something that's key. That's one of the things that we've noticed within softwares. They're not set up correctly. So we want to go ahead and correct those things and allocate it. What is their percentage of collection versus what they're producing? That's something that oftentimes a lot of offices don't quite understand. How does the production, how does the adjustments equate to the collections and what's healthy? That would definitely be where we start. And then we look at their fee schedules. What is their fee schedules? What is their reimbursement rate per zip code to make sure it's something that's competitive?
Gotcha. And again, being super competitive, that's critically important. What are you seeing in the landscape now? As people are trying to get through, September, which in the landscape has been what I'm hearing, right, on the general dentistry side, relatively challenging for September, October, just the word on the street of what I'm hearing. What are you hearing overall in the industry, and how are you helping clients to be able to still be competitive and profitable with the clients that you're working with currently?
Yeah, I've heard that for so many people in the industry, September specifically was just absolutely brutal. I feel like October is a little bit similar to September, but it's definitely gotten better. One of the things that I definitely encourage is patient engagement. When we know that we're having a slow season that's coming up, be proactive, work your reports, work your unscheduled lists, work your treatment plan, outstanding treatment plans if you have not done that already. And then as new patients come in and they're leaving, ask, how was your experience? Did you enjoy meeting Dr. Rivera? How do you feel? then saying then saying obviously, if there's anybody that you would like to refer to the office, we're definitely welcoming more new patients. We would love your trust and referral. So being a bit more proactive is definitely key to get through those tough months like September.
Gotcha. And you were talking about hand to hand. I think you said hand to hand, knee to knee, elbow to elbow, eyes, knees and toes, knees and toes, knees and toes. Sorry. That's where I go with that, with practices that you work with. So, does that involve like any scripting or any suggestions? Is that something that you have in your arsenal of tools that you share with clients that you're working with? Or tell me a little bit more about that, about how some of the implementation pieces that you're using.
So yes, I love toe to toe, knee to knee, eye to eye.
There you go.
It's a strategy. It's a
I knew it
strategy
was
that I
something like that. Sorry, I went knees and toes, knees and toes.
I'm like
I
going like
love
this.
kids. I'm waiting for my grandbabies. I'm waiting for my son. He's been married 2 years. They said they're trying. I'm just waiting for that phone call for them saying that things are happening. So sorry, my bad, my bad.
No, that was great. I love it. It's a tactic or a strategy that I've used for a really long time, and I love the phrase "power of suggestion" when working with patients and when we're talking about booking our schedule. Right, productive versus busy. Nobody ever wants to be busy, but everybody wants to be productive, right? And understanding that. So the power of suggestion is the tool in my little tool belt that I use with my teams when it comes to scheduling treatment plans, when it comes to booking appointments, when it comes to handling their hygiene departments, when it comes to implementing new procedures. And by using this power of suggestion of, we have Monday morning at 8 a.m. available. How does that work for you? Instead of saying what's convenient, right? Because if you're me, nothing is convenient. Don't ask me what's convenient because I'm going to tell you nothing at all. But by suggesting your first available, you're a lot more prone to get that commitment and get those spots filled.
Yeah, leaving an open-ended question for me personally and asking on my calendar, it's like, oh, don't do that because you're not going to find a spot. We can look in 2027 and we'll find something that's convenient for my calendar, right? I kid a little bit with that, right? But making that suggestion of, it's this or this, pick one. And if not, it's okay because they'll pick something else. At least you're locking it down. So I can appreciate that for sure. Well, Lana, this is the point of the program. All of my guests play a little something. It's called What the Sleuth is Going On? 3 rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready to play?
Yes.
Excellent. Question number 1. What's the worst bad breath you've ever encountered?
I was very green in my dental career, and this lovely older woman came up to me and she told me that she was having an odd smell coming from her mouth. And when she took out her upper denture, it was completely covered in green stuff. And she went to hand it to me in my hand. And I must have been like 19, 20 years old, and it was like, oh.
Oh.
And I wasn't quite as poker face at that time.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that telling me your history about starting as a lab tech, I think you said, right, in the lab.
Yeah.
Those are some of the best stories that you get because they don't know how to clean underneath
And it
the
was warm
denture
in my hand.
Oh, she went next level, ladies and gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Warm, probably slimy. Probably, yeah. Oh, all right. We're gonna go on to question number 2. I can almost taste it. Like I'm gonna try to get through the next couple of questions here. Thank you for that, Lana.
You're welcome.
I hope nobody's eating lunch listening to the Two Sleuths podcast. My apologies on behalf of Lana to all of my listening audience if you're on your lunch break listening to this. Question number 2. If you could change one thing about your smile, what would it be?
Whiter. It's never going to be white enough. Yeah, whiter.
I mean, for those who are listening to just the audio portion, wherever you find your podcast, wherever you find the Two Sleuth, flip over to the YouTube podcast here. It's at the 19-minute mark, so give or take a few seconds, and just look at her smile. Are you kidding me? I'm calling you out on that, Lana. I am calling you out on that. Come on now. I think you have a great white smile, but I get it, right?
I want to be Ross from Friends. I want to glow.
Well, yeah, I do remember that episode. That was a good one. And well, it's interesting because we're coming up on our 100th episode, and we're putting together like something for the answers to this. And I think whitening, it's either the top or it's definitely in the top two of the answers to that question. Okay, question number 3. If you could go back and be the inventor of any dental product, and no, you can't choose your own if you have invented something, which one would you choose and why?
That's a really great question. And I want to say the first thing that comes to my mind is going to be a scaler, hand
A skill,
scaling. And
so
the reason
share more? I
why,
don't know
and
why.
the
Yeah, I was just
and the
gonna
reason
say, I wanna
why
know the why.
true story, I am obsessive about having my teeth cleaned. I go every 2 months, even though there's no sign of gingivitis or periodontal disease, because I obsess about clean teeth. However, if I could go back and make it, that would fulfill my later years of satisfaction in having clean teeth, like just freshly clean teeth. Yes.
I love it. So it's kind of a personal obsession thing, but it's a thing. Well, I have to tell you, so as far as like cleaning teeth and stuff, and like I appreciate the scaler. So before I got into dental, I thought you were going to go a different way. I thought you were going to talk about periodontal disease. So before I got into dental, like I can remember way back, like even like 18, 20 years old, hygienist saying, "Oh, you really should floss," because, I'd go have my teeth cleaned and my gums would bleed. And I'd be like, yeah, 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 right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like I told you earlier about like speaking to the 7 different personalities, having 7 different ways to say the same thing and teach the same thing. Had they had a different way of approaching me about it, I would have learned. And here's the reason why. When I got into dental 18 years ago, they showed me the stages of periodontal disease in visuals. I was so grossed out. From that point forward, I flossed every single day. Never again will I not floss because I don't want that. That's disgusting. And so, had they, when I was 18, 20 years old, simply showed me clinically the stages of periodontal disease and how do you avoid that by flossing every day, I would have started flossing. It wouldn't have taken me until, yes, I'll admit it to all y'all, I was 35, right? I'm 53 now. It wouldn't have taken me, I mean, I could have saved myself like 17, 18 years of like not flossing. So, to all of you out there who are educators in the dental industry, you have to have different ways to educate patients. We have to have different ways of educating patients just depending on how they learn. We talk about it in Full Arch all the time, right? If you're talking to an engineer, you talk about the structural integrity. If you're talking to an artist, you talk about the aesthetics, right? I'm oversimplifying. But yes, so there you have it. I thought you were going to talk about periodontal disease. I really did. I was like, oh, I got a story. No, so I'm bastardizing your answer and I'm taking it on my own. So anyway, sorry about that, Lana. So anyway, so we're coming to the end of the program. Is there anything, Lana, that I haven't asked you or that you really want to share with my listening audience about what you do or just I mean, you've been in dentistry. I don't know how old you are. You look very young. So I'm saying like maybe 5 years since you said you started when you were 19. I'm being a little facetious. You have a lot more experience than that because I know a little bit of your history. So, is there anything you want to share with my listening audience that you'd love for them to know?
Feel free to reach out, even if it's just that they have questions. If they have questions and they're wanting another resource, feel free. I love
How,
helping,
and
and I
how do they do that? I want them to hear it, and we'll make sure we get it in the show notes too, Lana.
okay. So they can definitely go ahead and shoot me an email at Lana R at nmgpracticesolutions.com, or they can on my website. I have a chat feature. They can go ahead and jump on there. They can shoot me a text message, and I will respond, and we can connect that way.
I love it. Meet prospects and clients and patients, just as we talk about all the time, where they're at. My guest today has been Lana Rivera, a consultant of all sorts to all practices on production in the dental field. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Two Sleuth podcast.